So I wanted to get on here and give you guys a quick little update because I haven't been on here in a while. Posted really any videos at all, but there's a reason behind that, y'all. Your girl being overwhelmed. So, if you guys hadn't seen the last video that I did, the last video was of me telling you guys about my frustrations with Eli being bullied at school. Everyone knows that's my 10-year-old who is, uh, he's different. Eli is different. He is a different, just a whole different vibe, okay? So Eli has been enduring bullying since he started school over at South Pine Elementary. So, oof, I get anxiety talking about this. Like, this is so hard to talk about, guys. So, either way it goes, Eli originally started at his old school of Stills Creek Elementary. Um, him and my other boys went there. So, his brother, who has autism, as you all got, well, anyone who follows me know, my subscribers know. So, that is a story in its own. So anyway, so Still Creek decided that they didn't have the staff capable to handle my son's autism, which they really didn't. They didn't have like a extensions program there, or they didn't have teachers who were really qualified to handle him. They said that they could because um, the severity, when they tested him, they said his severity was something that they thought they can handle. I guess they bit off more than they could chew, and he was in regular classes. So anyways, um so they decided to transfer him to South Pine. They transferred him to South Pine, but him in the extensions program. Mind you, it was against my wishes because I did not want that. um Anyways, so his brother was still at Still Creek, and his brother just didn't want to be without his baby brother, you know. My boys are very close in age. They've been going to school together for a long time. So, Eli's like, well, Mom, I want to be where my brother is, I want to make sure my brother's okay. It's a new school. So the school had told me that was something that I could do. So you have to go through like this process to transfer the school because the school isn't in my school zone. Now, Still Creek is a good school. Hello. It is a good school in my school zone. So we took and transferred him. And his first day there, it was horrible. And he's just like, Mom, I don't really like this school, but I'm going to give it a chance because my brother's here and I want to be with my brother. So it's okay. So as time went on, he didn't really complain too much, but I could see a shift in his behavior. Mind you, my son has never gotten in trouble in school at all. Never ever had a situation with bullying. Never had teachers complain or anything like that. He was thriving at his old school. I mean, my son got awards after awards after awards, both of them. And so their other older brother, hello, how you guys doing? So he gets over there. So I want to say the first week, he's just like, Mom, I can't take it anymore. I said, what can't you take anymore? He says, it's this kid, he keeps bullying me. And I said, well, Eli, how is he bullying you? He keeps calling me a monkey. I said, well, Eli, is he black? He says, no, Mom. He's of Latin descent or whatever. So I said, okay, because I want to make it racial because they're kids. So I said, okay, well, Eli, he probably doesn't know better. And I'm sorry, guys. I have really bad anxiety talking about this. I'm like, just let it go. He's a kid. He doesn't know. He doesn't know. I said, tell him that you don't want to be called that and that's not appropriate. So Eli told him that. He never called Eli that again. So I'm like, okay, cool. It's just kids being kids. So then Eli's like, Mom, he's messing with me again. I said, well, what he messing with you about? Eli has very severe eczema. So his eczema is on his face and on his legs. So if anyone knows what eczema looks like, it's like you have like really light patches on your face sometimes. It's all depending on the season. So he's like, I don't want to wear shorts to school anymore, Mom. So I'm like, Eli, you've never ever said this before. You wore school shorts to your old school. Okay, you don't have to wear shorts anymore. So now I said, you know what, at this time, I need to bring this up to the teacher. So now I bring this up to the teacher because my son is the next day, he comes home, he's crying. Mom, I don't want to go back. I don't want to go back. I said, Eli, what happened this time? Mom, he keeps hitting me. I told the teacher, she didn't do anything about it. I said, okay, now at this point, I got to reach out to the teacher. I reached out to the teacher as I've been doing through the whole school year, y'all. And nothing has been done. Nothing has been done. I keep getting told, oh, this is just kids being kids. Now this little boy keep getting physical with my son. Now, my son isn't a fighter. Like, he doesn't want to fight. He doesn't like violence. He doesn't want to do any of that. Yes. So my son is a lover. So the kid wanted to tease my son about what he was wearing. So my son is a Dragon Ball Z fan. He loves so my son, any type of anime, my son's gonna wear it. Any type of Minecraft, my son's gonna wear it. He's not your typical 10-year-old who wants the Jordans, the Nikes. Now mind you, he has those things, but that's not what he wants to wear. So anyways, it keeps going on, it's persistent. So now at this point, guys, Eli starts having seizures, right? So he has never had seizures before. So we rushed him to the hospital, right? Find out he has epilepsy. So the type of epilepsy that he has, they're saying is like it happens in kids, so hopefully he'll outgrow it. My whole thing was, why did it just start happening when he went to the school? My son has never had seizures until he went to the school. So now the teacher, she messaged me one day. Eli needs to be in school. If he's not in school today, I'm going to call Children's Services. This is what she said in the message. I said, Children's Services? I said, ma'am, hold on, wait a minute. My son just had a seizure last night and he had a seizure today. So protocol is he doesn't go to school if he had a seizure. Mind you, the nurse knows he has seizures because you have to do a seizure plan with them, with the school, because his rescue medicine, I have to take it to the school. So his neurologist had to fill out a seizure plan with the nurse. The nurse took the medicine, took the paperwork. She says, I'm going to teach the teacher about this, right? Guys, why the teacher don't even know he has seizures? She's like, oh, I didn't know he has seizures. I called the nurse, said, his teacher said that she doesn't know he has seizures. She says, yeah, she should definitely know because I told her. I said, so now I sent this over to the principal because now I'm mad. I said, first of all, she threatened me with Children's Services and my son just had a seizure. He just got out the hospital. I said, that is so unprofessional. Just the way she talked to me, it was just so unprofessional. So I told her, I said, you know what? I actually believe my son because my son's telling me that he's telling you things and you're not listening to him. And look how you're talking to me, and I'm his mom. And I'm an adult. I can only imagine how you're talking to, he was 9 at the time, a 9-year-old. I can only imagine. And homegirl got smart with me again. I said, you know, I'm going to exit this conversation and I'm going to file a complaint against you. Exited the conversation, filed a complaint. Nothing was done. Now, mind you, again, this guys, it's May. School's about to be out in June. This little kid then took and pushed Eli down really hard the other day. Now, Eli was like, Mom, I fell and I felt so dizzy. He said, I told my teacher and she didn't care. She said, I tattled too much. I said, okay, is that how we're doing it? So I told her, I said, at this point, I want an escalation. I said, I want to meet his parents because now his mama and his daddy need to talk to me. We don't do that. That's what she told me. We don't do that. I will talk to Ms. Lyles, but we don't do that. Okay. So now you're not letting the parents know that their child is being a bully? Because at this point, how I feel, y'all, if the parents don't handle their child, they're going to get every bit of the energy that their child is giving my child. That's where I'm at. My husband like, you can't be that way. But I'm like, the administrators aren't doing nothing. The school isn't doing nothing. And so my son's just like, I don't want to go back to school, Mom. He's like insecure about his eczema now because no one's ever made fun of him at his old school about it. No one. So he didn't really know it was like, no, he knew it was there, but it wasn't a part of his insecurity until he went to that school. Mind you, guys, a whole parent came up to that school and flipped out on the staff because her child was going through the same thing that my child's going through. So the school sent out this letter talking about there was a inappropriate behavior at the school with the parent, and the teachers intervened. So the parent was going through the same thing that I was going through, and ended up going up to the school and just getting out of control. But the school doesn't handle bullying. And this is my problem, y'all. They say, you see something, say something. These kids be saying stuff. These teachers don't care. These teachers be hearing them. And the teachers just be like, oh my goodness, they hear it so much. And so it's kind of like they hear it so much, so they're so used to it that they don't care. And they only care when the worst happens. They only care when the worst happens. And then they'll be blaming the parents. And it's just like, wait a minute. Parents have been reaching out to you. Parents have been telling you this has been going on. And no one is doing anything. Y'all taking all this for granted. And then when these kids snap and they come up here and they do the worst and the unimaginable, then everybody want to cry and hold candlelight visions and talk about gun control. First of all, if we had people control, then we wouldn't really need gun control, and we wouldn't have all these bullies out here bullying kids. Like, my son can't even listen to the little kids roasted my son because he didn't know who Travis Scott was. Now, mind you, that's not something that my kids listen to in my household. They don't know who Travis Scott is because I don't listen to Travis Scott, and I don't really let them listen to rap. My kids listen to rock. You know, my kids, that's their thing. They're like their father. My husband does not listen to rap music at all. He has a few rap songs that he may like, but we're from the era of Kid Rock, Limp Bizkit. We had all the great music. So we come from an era where music was in abundance, and you had all of these different artists to choose from. And our kids have the similar tastes of us in music. So my sons don't listen to, you know, hip hop the way that I might listen to it. So my sons don't know certain slang, and they don't know certain terms because I just feel like just because you're a black kid or you're black doesn't automatically mean you know everything that other black people know, or other things that, you know, people who are urban know. Now, I'm urban. I know a lot of stuff. I know a lot of hood stuff. I was raised that way. My kids weren't. And you can't even have a decent life as a kid without getting bullied, you know? These kids can't even like kid stuff. Like the little dude up there talking about gang. My son's like, he might be in a gang for real, Mom. I said, boy, that's just slang. He ain't in no gang. You know, like, my son is confused, or the little boy roasts him. My son's very logical. So he's like, that doesn't make sense. You know, like, he's an actual 10-year-old in a 10-year-old's place, being a 10-year-old, you know? And these kids can't even be 10-year-olds. But I got all the way into that. But the reason why I started the GoFundMe was because I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to have to homeschool my kids because, well, look, I did a great job with Carter. Carter speaks, Carter read, he's learning math. He can count because I got ahead of the curve. My children are excellent readers because I taught them. Before they even went to pre-K or school, I taught them. So I'm just like, at this point, I just need to take it into my own hands. And for me, school informs me, well, you're going to have to pay for all the educational expenses out of pocket. I'm like, wait a minute. So you guys don't give me material? No, you had to buy all of this stuff. So I'm like, oh my God. So it's like, keep your kid in school. Because, you know, we all fell on hard times since COVID. I'm not working at all. My husband's the only one with the job. And then between Carter's therapies, OT, and ABA, I don't have time to really work, because I can't work because if he has a medical emergency or anything, I have to leave my job. So I'm like, you know what? I can just go ahead, homeschool my children, do home daycare at that. Bam, earn income. Make sure my kids are great. And we ain't got to struggle and fall behind where we're out here living in the streets or something. And then I'm like, how is it that our children going through this in school, and the school wanted me to help you? They want to give you the resources. They didn't even want to give me the resources where I can figure out how to homeschool my kids. My son's case manager, because he has autism, so they have like people that you work with to help connect you, case managers to connect you with resources. His case manager had to get me the information on how to go about doing the homeschooling And they're like, there's really no grants out here. There's a grant maybe for Carter because he has an IEP, but there's not going to be a grant out here for Eli because Eli does not have an IEP. And then I'm just like, oh my goodness, this is the situation that they leave you in. Mind you, let me get back on the principal. This is why I said I'm gonna have to homeschool. Principal reaches out to me, guys. She says, oh, Miss Gray. I said, that's not my name. My name is Kane. That is not my name. She addresses me Miss Gray again. Okay. Now you've been petty. So I'm like, I'm not about to get caught up on legality. So I'm just like, whatever. Can't even announce it. I'm so mad. Whew. So she's like, oh, I have a field day this week and all this other stuff, but I'm free Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Which day will work for you? She said maybe we could connect one of these days. That's what she said, something like that. So I said, okay, that's cool. I'm available Wednesday, and I could be up at the school about 10:30. Before I have to pick up my other son, so we can have a meeting. Homegirl never even text me back. She never responded. We never even had a meeting. So now this is how I'm finding out this stuff. So of course I participate in Parent Square. All parents should. So I get a message in Parent Square that she's leaving the school. Like I don't know whether she was retiring or something. I forget what it said, but I know she's not going to be at the school anymore. So I'm like, are you even going to handle this situation before you go? Are you even gonna, so we just gonna let this fester? We're gonna let this kid keep bullying my son? There's no consequences? So y'all don't take any of this serious. I have to keep my son home and at home from school, and he's in tears. He had a whole seizure, crying the morning before he had to go to school. He's like, Mom, I don't want to go to school. I'm like, no, Eli, you have to go to school. Next thing I know, my son's screaming, calling, Mom, you having a seizure. I run in there, and he doesn't fake at all. His seizures are really, like, he doesn't fake them. And I'm telling you, like, y'all, I don't think I went live when he was in the hospital. He had just got out the hospital too, y'all. He had just got out the hospital. He had been in the hospital all of spring break. He had been in the hospital for a whole week. And he just got out the hospital. And his first day back, he had to experience that boy and then end up having a seizure. And I'm telling her, I'm like, now this boy keeping his hands on my son. My son got real medical problems. You guys know this. I said, now what if he would have hit his head wrong? What if my son would have hit his head wrong and never woke up? They don't care. They don't care. And I'm just like, you could just tell the teachers who really don't care. It's just the way she speaks. It's the way she handles herself. My son's birthday, I'm like, let's do something special for his birthday. I'm like, let's do a pizza party. Go to Hungry Howie's. Get like all his pizza. Share it with his class. I go into the cafeteria. My son is sitting by himself. She had him isolated, and she knew I was coming. She put him in silent lunch. I said, Eli, why is you in the silent lunch? Shit, because I told on that boy. And he kept bothering me, so she moved me by myself. I said, so you just going to keep isolating my son. Okay. And then these teachers know how kids be. If it's one kid that they don't like, they're going to gang up on them. The whole class is going to gang up on them. And it's the girls who be like really nice to my son, but they're girls, you know. And I keep telling my son, you're going to eventually have to defend yourself. And I tell him, when we defend ourselves, we don't go to the extremes. We don't do anything to bring harm. We don't start anything. We defend ourselves. If someone is putting their hands on us, we have no other choice. But I told him, before you go do that, please tell the teacher. Now, if this boy hits you again, knock his block off. Because that's where I'm at. Knock his block off. Knock his block off. Because he keep bothering my son, because my son is not fighting back. Because he know my son don't want to fight. And kids like that target kids who don't want to fight. They know the kids who don't want to fight. They know the kids who are peaceful. Like my son Eli will literally be the peacemaker. Like, I'm telling you, he is so diplomatic. He'll be talking you down like, but why would you want to do that? Like, that's who he is. But at the same time, like, I can't just keep sending him to school and letting somebody put their hands on him. Y'all, I'm so mad about this. And so today, I just filed a complaint with the school system on the principal and the teacher, because at this point, They're not doing their jobs. I don't know. I didn't emailed everybody. I talked to a few people. Anybody I could email, I emailed them and reached out to them, because at this point, you don't care about none of the kids in that school. Because if you treat my son like this, you're going to treat somebody else's child like that. If you're not taking my son's safety concerns serious, you're not taking the next child's safety concerns serious. Now, let me put this out here to y'all like this. What if my son wasn't my son and he had parents who didn't really care, who wasn't active, who was helping him deal with the bullies? Now, how would this turn out? Think about that. It could go really bad. It could go really bad if that child didn't have nobody to mentor them and keep them on right, and let those kids know, like, listen, even though this person's doing this to you, you never ever go to the extremes or try to harm anyone. You never do that. And I teach my children that. But I had to teach him, I had to tell him, like, now if he put his hands on you, knock him out. Because at this point, you had to fight back. But what if my son wasn't my son? He had a different parent out here, and that child was going through exactly was maybe the school.